The phone wouldn't stop ringing. I reached across the nightstand, knocking over my water glass in the darkness, my fingers finally closing around the vibrating device. The screen's harsh light made me squint as I saw Memorial General Hospital flashing across the display. My heart dropped into my stomach. "Hello?" My voice came out scratchy and small. "Mrs. Bennett, this is Memorial General Hospital. I'm calling about your husband, Owen Bennett. He's been brought into our emergency department following a serious car accident. You need to come immediately." The woman's voice was calm, almost too calm, like she'd made 1,000 calls just like this one. But her words felt like ice water dumped over my head. "Owen, accident, immediately." "What? No, Is he okay? What happened?" I was already throwing off the covers, my free hand reaching for the lamp switch. "Mom, I can't discuss details over the phone. The doctor needs to speak with you in person. How quickly can you get here?" "I'm coming right now. Tell him I'm coming. Please, tell him." The line went dead. My hands shook so badly I could barely pull on my jeans. Owen had said he'd be home by 10. A work dinner with clients, something about closing a big insurance deal. I'd fallen asleep around 11, assuming he'd come in quietly and slip into bed beside me like he always did when he worked late. But his side of the bed was still perfectly made, pillows untouched. The drive to Memorial General took 12 minutes, though it felt like hours. Every red light made me want to scream. I kept trying to call Owen's phone, but it went straight to voicemail each time. "This is Owen Bennett. Leave a message and I'll get back to you." His cheerful recorded voice made tears sting my eyes. What if he was dying? What if I never got to talk to him again? We'd been married 4 years, and yes, things hadn't been perfect lately, but he was still my husband. The man who brought me coffee in bed on Sunday mornings. The one who knew I liked exactly 3 ice cubes in my water, and that I couldn't sleep without the ceiling fan on, even in winter. I abandoned my car in the emergency drop-off zone and ran through the automatic doors. The fluorescent lights inside felt too bright, the antiseptic smell too strong. A bored-looking receptionist sat behind a curved desk, typing on her computer without looking up. My husband was brought in. "Owen Bennett, car accident. They called me and said, 'Name again.'" She still didn't look at me. "Owen Bennett, Bennett. Please, they said it was serious." Her fingers clicked across the keyboard, then she paused, frowned, clicked some more. "I don't have any record of an Owen Bennett being admitted tonight." "That's impossible. They just called me 20 minutes ago. They said to come immediately. Check again, please." She sighed like I was ruining her night and typed slower this time, deliberately. "No Owen Bennett in emergency. No Owen Bennett admitted anywhere in the hospital tonight. Are you sure they said Memorial General?" "Yes. The call came from this hospital. It said it right on my phone. He was in a car accident. Ma'am, I'm telling you there's no patient by that name here. Maybe you should try calling back whoever contacted you." Panic was rising in my chest, making it hard to breathe. "Can you check trauma? Or maybe he's in surgery. Please, something terrible has happened and I need to find my husband." A nurse walking past overheard and stopped. "What's the patient's name, honey?" "Owen Bennett." They called about a car accident, but now she's saying he's not here and I don't understand what's happening. The nurse checked with the receptionist, looking at her screen. "Huh. That is odd. Let me ask around the department, see if maybe he came in under a different name or if there was a mix-up with the records." She disappeared through double doors marked, "Authorized personnel only," leaving me standing there feeling like the floor might open up beneath me. Nothing made sense. Why would the hospital call if Owen wasn't here? Where was he? Was he lying hurt somewhere else? I tried his phone again. Voicemail. The next 30 minutes were a nightmare of being passed from person to person. Each nurse and doctor I spoke to looked more confused than the last. No one had any record of Owen. No ambulances had brought in anyone matching his description. The hospital hadn't made any outgoing calls about car accidents in the past 3 hours, according to their phone logs. "Could it have been a prank call?" one doctor suggested gently. Sometimes people do cruel things. No, someone called me from this hospital about my husband. I saw it on my phone. But doubt was creeping in. My thoughts were spinning. If Owen wasn't here, where was he? Why wasn't he answering his phone? I was standing in the hallway, staring at my phone and trying to decide who else to call, when a young nurse appeared beside me. She was maybe in her late 20s, with kind eyes and her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Her name tag read Jessica Martin. "Mrs. Bennett?" she said quietly, glancing around like she was checking to see who might be listening. "Can you come with me for a moment?" Something in her tone made my skin prickle. "Why?" "Do you know where Owen is? Please, just come with me. Somewhere private." She led me down a corridor and into a small consultation room, the kind of room where doctors probably deliver bad news to families. There was a box of tissues on the table, a painting of a peaceful beach scene on the wall that was supposed to be calming but just felt ominous. Jessica closed the door behind us and turned the lock with a soft click. "What's going on? You're scaring me." Jessica took a deep breath. "Your husband isn't here." There was no accident. The relief that flooded through me lasted only a second before her expression registered. This wasn't good news. Then why did they call me? They didn't. The hospital didn't call you, but someone wanted you to think we did. Someone wanted to get you out of your house in the middle of the night. I stared at her, not understanding. What are you talking about?" "Mrs. Bennett, about 3 hours ago I was taking my break in the parking lot. I saw 3 men standing by a dark SUV talking. One of them was your husband. Owen? You know Owen?" I recognized him from the photo. He came into the pharmacy earlier this week asking questions. At the time, I didn't think much of it. But tonight... She pulled out her phone and showed me grainy security footage. Even in the poor lighting, I could make out Owen's distinctive grey jacket, the one I'd bought him for his birthday. He was talking to 2 other men, their faces partially hidden by shadows. "That doesn't mean anything," I said, but my voice sounded weak even to my own ears. He could have been meeting clients. I heard them talking. Not everything, but enough. They mentioned your name, Mrs. Bennett, multiple times, and they talked about insurance money, about making something look natural, about how it needed to happen tonight. The room felt like it was tilting. No, you must have heard wrong. Owen wouldn't... After they left, those same 2 men came into the hospital. They went to the pharmacy and started asking my colleague questions about medications. Specific questions about what drugs could cause fatal reactions when mixed with certain allergy medications. They wanted to know what would show up on an autopsy and what wouldn't. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't real. This was some kind of horrible nightmare, and I'd wake up any second in my own bed with Owen sleeping peacefully beside me. "When you showed up tonight," Jessica continued, her voice gentle but urgent, "saying you'd gotten a call about Owen being in an accident, I knew. They lured you here. They wanted you out in the open, vulnerable. Mrs. Bennett, I think your husband is trying to kill you." I laughed. Actually laughed out loud, a sharp, hysterical sound that echoed off the consultation room walls. "That's insane. Owen loves me. We've been married for 4 years. He wouldn't..." People don't just decide to murder their wives. But even as the words left my mouth, I felt something cold settling in my chest. Jessica's face remained serious, sympathetic, but unwavering. "I know how this sounds," she said softly. "I know you have no reason to trust me. I'm just a stranger telling you impossible things about the person you share your life with. But I couldn't let you walk out of here without warning you. I've worked in hospitals for 6 years, Mrs. Bennett. I've seen terrible things that people do to each other, often to the people they're supposed to love most. Show me the video again." She handed me her phone. I watched the footage 3 times, studying every detail. The way Owen's shoulders were hunched forward, tense, how he kept looking around as if checking for witnesses. One of the men handed him something small, maybe an envelope or a package. Owen shoved it quickly into his jacket pocket. Who are those men? I don't know. I'd never seen them before tonight. But after they left your husband, they came straight into the pharmacy area. The taller one, the guy in the black hoodie, he did most of the talking. Asked my colleague Greg about medication interactions. Specifically wanted to know about combining certain sedatives with antihistamines. My throat felt tight. I take antihistamines. For allergies. I know. When you introduced yourself earlier, I recognized the name from the prescription records. You pick up your medication here, don't you? About once a month. I nodded slowly. The pieces were starting to fit together in a way that made me feel sick. Do you keep your medications at home? In a bathroom cabinet, maybe? Somewhere your husband would have access to them? Yes, but I trailed off, remembering something. 2 weeks ago, I'd noticed my pill bottle looked different. The label was slightly crooked, and when I'd mentioned it to Owen, he'd said the pharmacy probably just restocked it funny. I hadn't thought twice about it. Jessica pulled up another image on her phone, this time a screenshot of a text message. The phone number was blocked out, but the message was clear. Wife picks up meds first Tuesday of month, usually between 4 to 6 p.m. Bottle keeps in master bathroom, left side of mirror cabinet. Where did you get this? The guy in the hoodie dropped his phone in the pharmacy. I found it after they left and looked through it before turning it in to security. I know I shouldn't have, but something felt wrong about the whole interaction. This message was sent yesterday. The description of my routine was exact. I always picked up my prescriptions on the first Tuesday of the month, right after work, and my medication was exactly where the text said it would be. This doesn't prove Owen sent this, I said, but my conviction was crumbling. No, it doesn't. But look at this. She swiped to another screenshot. Same phone, sent 2 hours before that message. The text read, Bennett Insurance confirmed policy increase, $500K payout, effective immediately. My hands started shaking. We did just increase my life insurance. Owen said it was smart financial planning, that if anything happened to me, he'd need money to cover the mortgage and everything else. He works in insurance, so I trusted him. When did you increase it? 6 months ago, maybe? He kept bringing it up, saying we were underinsured. I finally agreed just to make him happy. Jessica sat down in the chair across from me, her expression pained. Mrs. Bennett, Laura, if I may, I think your husband has been planning this for a while. The insurance increase, learning your medication routine, finding people willing to help him. Tonight was supposed to be the night it happened. But why call me here? Why not just do whatever they were planning at home? I've been thinking about that. Maybe they needed you away from the house. Maybe they needed to set something up. Or maybe having you discover your husband's body was part of making it look real. I don't know their full plan. But when you got that call and rushed here, and I saw you at the reception desk asking about Owen's accident, I knew it was connected to what I'd overheard. I thought about the voice on the phone. Female, professional, calm. Had it really sounded like a hospital employee, or had I just assumed it did because the caller ID said Memorial General? Caller ID can be spoofed, Jessica said, reading my thoughts. There are apps that let you make it look like you're calling from anywhere. It's not hard. My mind was racing through memories, re-examining everything with this new, horrible lens. Owen had been distant lately. More phone calls he'd take in other rooms. Work stress, he'd said. He'd started asking strange questions about my day, wanting to know exact times I'd be places. I'd thought he was just being attentive, maybe trying to plan surprises. Last month, I'd found a second cell phone in his car. He'd laughed it off, said it was a work phone for client calls, that he kept his personal and professional life separate. I'd believed him because, why wouldn't I? People don't suspect their husbands of planning to murder them. I need to go home, I said suddenly, standing up. I need to see if he's there. I need to talk to him. No. Jessica grabbed my arm gently but firmly. That's exactly what you can't do. If I'm right about this, if he knows the plan failed tonight, confronting him could be dangerous. You need to go to the police. And tell them what? That a nurse overheard some men talking in a parking lot? That my husband increased our life insurance? None of this is proof of anything. They'll think I'm paranoid or crazy. You have the security footage. You have my testimony about what they asked in the pharmacy. It's not enough. I was pacing now, my thoughts tumbling over each other. Owen is charming. Everyone loves him. He'll have explanations for everything. The insurance increase was responsible planning. The second phone is for work. Meeting people in parking lots isn't illegal. And he'll make me look like a hysterical wife who jumped to conclusions. Jessica's face told me she knew I was right. Then what are you going to do? I need real evidence, something concrete that proves what he's planning. I pulled out my phone and checked the time. Almost 2:30 in the morning. He'll be wondering where I am soon. I need to go home and act normal. Act like nothing's wrong. Laura, that's incredibly dangerous. More dangerous than letting him think his plan is still on. If I disappear or go to the police with nothing solid, he'll just deny everything, and then I'll be living with someone I know wants me dead. And I'll have shown my hand. At least this way, he won't know that I know. You can't go back there alone. What if something happens? Then you're my insurance policy, I said, surprised by how steady my voice sounded despite the terror coursing through me. If anything happens to me, if I end up dead in some mysterious accident, you go to the police with everything you know. You tell them about tonight. Jessica looked at me for a long moment. Give me your phone number. I want you to text me every few hours. If I don't hear from you, I'm calling the police anyway. We exchanged numbers, and she made me promise to be careful. As I walked back through the hospital corridors toward the exit, everything looked different. The nurses at their stations, the patients in waiting rooms, the whole normal world going about its business while my life had just shattered into pieces. My car was still where I'd left it, a parking ticket tucked under the wiper blade. I sat in the driver's seat for a moment, trying to compose myself. I needed to look confused and upset about a prank call when I got home, not terrified and suspicious. The drive back felt longer than the drive there. Every car behind me looked suspicious. Every shadow seemed threatening. I kept rehearsing what I'd say. It was some kind of sick joke. The hospital had no record of you. Can you believe someone would do that? Our house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. Owen's car was parked in its usual spot. I sat in my car for almost 5 minutes, staring at our house. The porch light was off, which was strange because I always left it on when I went out at night. The windows were dark except for a faint glow from our bedroom upstairs. Everything looked peaceful, normal, like a home where a wife was loved, not murdered. My keys rattled as I unlocked the front door. I stepped inside, deliberately making noise, dropping my purse on the hall table like I always did. "Owen!" I called out, pleased that my voice only shook a little. Footsteps on the stairs. Then he appeared at the top, wearing his pajama pants and an old college t-shirt, his hair messy like he'd been sleeping. His face was a perfect mixture of concern and confusion. "Laura? Honey, where were you? I woke up and you were gone." He was good. So good. If I didn't know what Jessica had told me, if I hadn't seen that video, I would have completely believed him. "Someone called," I said, letting real tears fill my eyes because they were already there anyway. "They said you'd been in a terrible accident, that you were at Memorial General and I needed to come right away." His expression shifted to shock. "What? I've been here all night. I got home around 11 and you were already asleep." "I know that now. The hospital had no record of you. They said no one had called me. It was some kind of horrible prank." I wiped at my eyes. I was so scared. I thought you were dying. Owen came down the stairs and pulled me into a hug. His arms felt like they always did, strong and familiar. His cologne was the same one he'd worn since we started dating. Everything about him was exactly as it had always been, except now I was wondering if those hands had been planning to kill me. "That's awful," he murmured into my hair. "Who would do something like that?" "I don't know." I pulled back and looked at his face, searching for any crack in the mask. "Where were you tonight? You said you'd be home by 10. Something flickered in his eyes just for a second. The dinner ran late. You know how clients are. They want to keep talking and ordering more drinks. I texted you around 10:30 to say I'd be late. Didn't you get it? I checked my phone. There was a text, time-stamped 10:34 p.m. Dinner running long. Don't wait up. Love you. I was already asleep, I said. I'm sorry. This whole night has just been so crazy. Come on, let's get you back to bed. You must be exhausted. He kept his arm around me as we walked upstairs, the concerned husband taking care of his shaken wife. I changed into my pajamas while he watched, making small talk about how terrible it was that people made prank calls like that. I climbed into bed beside him and he pulled me close. His heartbeat was steady and calm against my back. Everything's okay now, he whispered. I'm right here. Nothing's going to happen to you. The irony of those words made me want to scream. I lay there in the darkness, waiting. His breathing gradually slowed and deepened, but I couldn't tell if he was really asleep or just pretending like I was. Around 3:30, I heard a faint buzzing sound, his phone vibrating on his nightstand. Owen shifted, reaching for it. The screen lit up his face in the darkness. I watched through barely open eyelids as he read whatever message had come through. His jaw tightened. He typed something back quickly, his thumbs moving fast across the screen. Then he carefully got out of bed, grabbing his phone and slipping out of the room. I heard his footsteps go down the hall, then the bathroom door close. This was my chance. I waited 30 seconds, then slipped out of bed myself. The hardwood floor was cold under my bare feet. I moved quietly to the walk-in closet, pulling the door almost shut behind me so I'd hear if he came back. Owen kept his shoes on his side of the closet, lined up neatly on a rack. Dress shoes, sneakers, boots he wore for yard work. I started checking them, feeling inside each one. Nothing. 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 Then I reached the brown leather boots he'd bought last winter. My fingers touched something hard and rectangular inside the left boot. I pulled it out. A cell phone. Not his regular iPhone with the blue case, but a cheap Android with a cracked screen protector. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped it. I pressed the power button and it lit up. No password required. The phone was open to a text message conversation. She came back. Plan failed. Don't know what happened. You said it was foolproof. Something went wrong. She got to the hospital but then came home. She's acting normal. We can't wait much longer. I'm drowning here. They're threatening my family. Give me 48 hours. I'll make it work. The messages went back weeks. I scrolled up, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Details about my schedule, my routines. Photos of our house, of me leaving for work, of my car in the school parking lot. They'd been watching me. I found the conversation Jessica had screenshotted, the message about my medication routine. It was here, sent from this phone. Further up, I found something that made my blood run cold. A message from 3 months ago. Insurance company approved the increase, $500K payout on accidental death. Just need to wait the 6-month contestability period. Another message. Brandon says he can get the stuff from his pharmacy contact. Odorless, tasteless, mixes with regular meds. Heart failure symptoms. Clean autopsy. Brandon. That must be one of the men from the video. I heard the toilet flush. Owen would be coming back any second. I quickly took out my own phone and started photographing the screen, capturing as many messages as I could. My hands were shaking so badly that some of the photos came out blurry, but I kept shooting. The bathroom door opened. I shoved the burner phone back into the boot and grabbed a pair of my own shoes, pretending I'd been looking for them. I stepped out of the closet just as Owen walked back into the bedroom. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Looking for my slippers. My feet are cold." I held up a pair of flats instead, hoping he wouldn't notice in the darkness. Couldn't find them, though. "They're downstairs by the couch. You left them there yesterday, remember?" "Right. I'm still half asleep." I climbed back into bed, sliding my phone under my pillow. "Everything okay? I heard you get up." "Just had to use the bathroom. Too much water before bed." He got back under the covers, and within minutes his breathing settled into what sounded like sleep again. I lay there until the sky started turning grey outside our window, my mind racing. The messages on that phone were evidence, real, concrete evidence of what Owen was planning, but I still didn't know who Brandon was or what the stuff was that they were going to use. I didn't know where they were keeping it or when they planned to try again. Jessica had said they asked about medications that could cause fatal reactions with my allergy pills. Had they already tampered with my medication? Was every pill in my bathroom cabinet potentially deadly? As dawn light crept across our bedroom ceiling, I realized I couldn't stay here and pretend everything was normal. But I also couldn't go to the police yet, not without knowing the full scope of the plan. I needed to find Brandon. I needed to know exactly what Owen had set in motion. And I needed to do it before those 48 hours were up. I waited until Owen left for work before I moved. He'd kissed me goodbye like always, told me to have a good day, reminded me we needed milk. The perfect husband routine. I watched from the bedroom window as his car pulled out of the driveway, then I waited another 10 minutes to make sure he wasn't coming back. My hands were steadier this morning. The shock had worn off, replaced by something harder and colder. Fear mixed with anger, sharpened into focus. I called in sick to school, something I rarely did. My principal sounded concerned, told me to rest and feel better. If she only knew what kind of sick I was dealing with. Then I called the number Jessica had given me. She answered on the second ring. "Laura, are you okay?" I found his burner phone. I have photos of text messages that prove everything. He's planning to do it within the next 2 days. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. "You need to go to the police right now." "I will, but I need to talk to someone first." "A detective who'll actually believe me and take this seriously. You said you knew someone?" "Detective Henry Coleman. He's worked fraud and conspiracy cases for 20 years. He doesn't brush things off and he actually listens. I'll text you his number." "Thank you, Jessica, for everything. Just promise me you'll be careful and don't stay in that house alone." After we hung up, I stared at Detective Coleman's number for a long moment before dialing. A man's voice answered, gravelly and tired sounding. "Coleman. Detective Coleman. My name is Laura Bennett. A nurse named Jessica Martin gave me your number. I think my husband is trying to kill me for insurance money and I need help." There was a pause. I imagined him sitting up straighter, reaching for a notepad. "Tell me everything." So I did. The hospital call, Jessica's warning, the video footage, the burner phone, the messages. I sent him the photos I'd taken while we talked. He listened without interrupting, occasionally making small sounds that told me he was still there. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. "Mrs. Bennett, what you've found is solid evidence of conspiracy and intent. But here's the problem. We can prove your husband was planning something, but we need him to take an overt action that proves attempted murder. Otherwise, a good lawyer will argue he was just talking, that he never actually went through with anything. So what do I do? Wait for him to poison me? No, absolutely not. But we need to catch him in the act, with officers present to intervene. We need him to make a move that's undeniable." My stomach turned. "You want me to be bait?" "I want you to be safe, which means controlled circumstances with protection in place. We'd put a wire on you, have officers positioned nearby. You'd never be in real danger." "How would it work? Do you know when or how he's planning to act?" I thought about the messages. The texts mentioned something about medication. They asked about drugs that would cause a fatal reaction with my allergy pills. I think they might have already tampered with them. "Don't touch anything in your medicine cabinet. We'll need to test everything. What we need is for your husband to offer you those pills. To actively try to give them to you. That's when we'll have him. And if something goes wrong? It won't. I've done this kind of operation before. But I understand if you're not comfortable with it. We could arrest him now on conspiracy charges, but without catching him in the act, his lawyer might get it reduced or dismissed. The choice is yours." I closed my eyes, thinking. Owen had planned my death like it was a business transaction. He'd researched, plotted, found accomplices. He deserved to face the full consequences of what he'd tried to do. What do I need to do? 2 hours later, I was sitting in Detective Coleman's office. He was older than I expected, probably late 40s, with grey threading through his dark hair and sharp eyes that seemed to catalogue everything. He'd already sent officers to collect the burner phone from my house, wearing gloves so they wouldn't disturb evidence. "We tested your medication," he said, sliding a folder across his desk. "The pills in your bathroom cabinet aren't what the label says they are. Someone replaced your antihistamines with something else, a sedative that would normally be harmless. But combined with this," he pulled out a small evidence bag containing white pills, "which we found hidden inside a vitamin bottle in your kitchen. It would cause respiratory failure. Quick, relatively painless, and it would look like heart failure on a basic autopsy." I stared at the pills that were supposed to kill me. "He put those in my vitamins. Probably planning to suggest you take them. Honey, don't forget your vitamins," that kind of thing. "You'd take the tampered allergy medication, then these, and within hours you'd stop breathing." The clinical way he described my planned death made it feel surreal, like we were discussing someone else's murder. "Here's what we're going to do," Coleman continued. "You go home and act normal. Tonight, tell your husband you're not feeling well. Mention that you might take your allergy medication before bed. See if he encourages it or offers to get it for you. That's when we'll know he's about to act. And you'll be there. We'll have officers positioned outside your house. You'll be wearing a wire so we can hear everything. The moment he hands you those pills and we confirm it's an attempt to harm you, we move in. You'll never actually take anything." He handed me a small device, barely bigger than a button. "This is the wire. It'll be hidden under your clothes. We'll do a test run before tonight to make sure it's working properly. What about Brandon, the man who helped him get the drugs? Once we have your husband, he'll flip on his accomplices to try to reduce his sentence. We'll get them all." I turned the tiny device over in my hands. My whole marriage was a lie, wasn't it? He never loved me. I was just worth more dead than alive. Coleman's expression softened slightly. "I've seen a lot of bad people do terrible things for money. It's not about you or anything you did wrong. Some people just don't have the same boundaries the rest of us have." That night, I went through the motions of normal life while wearing a wire taped to my skin under my shirt. I made dinner, Owen's favourite pasta dish. We ate together at the kitchen table, talking about our days. He told me about a difficult client. I told him I was feeling a bit off, probably coming down with something. "You should take something before bed," he said, his voice full of concern. "Don't want it to get worse." "Yeah, maybe some allergy medicine. My sinuses have been bothering me too." His eyes lit up just for a second. "Good idea. Want me to get it for you after dinner? You should rest." "That's sweet, but I can get it myself." No, I insist. You cooked. I'll clean up and grab your medicine. Why don't you go relax on the couch?" Through the wire, I knew Detective Coleman was hearing every word. I touched the device through my shirt, a reminder that I wasn't alone. "Okay," I said softly. "Thank you, honey." Owen smiled at me, that warm smile I'd fallen in love with years ago. "Anything for you." He cleared the dinner plates and headed toward the bathroom where my tampered medication waited. I sat on the couch, my heart hammering so hard I was sure Owen would hear it when he came back. The television was on, some cooking show I wasn't watching. My hands were folded in my lap to keep them from shaking. Through the wire, I heard Detective Coleman's voice, barely a whisper in my ear through the tiny earpiece they'd given me. "We're in position, 4 units surrounding the house. You're doing great, Laura. Just stay calm." Owen appeared in the doorway, holding a glass of water in one hand. In his other palm were 2 pills. Not the usual single antihistamine I took, but 2 pills. One would be the fake allergy medication. The other would be the deadly combination. "Here you go, sweetheart." He sat down beside me, close enough that our knees touched. "These will help you feel better." I looked at the pills. Small, white, innocent looking, The instruments of my murder delivered by the hand of the man who'd promised to love and cherish me. What are they? I asked, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. Your allergy medicine and a vitamin. You've been looking run down lately. The extra boost will help. Such a simple lie. So casually told. I took the glass of water, my fingers brushing against his. Owen, can I ask you something first? His smile flickered just slightly. Of course, what is it? Do you love me? The question hung in the air between us. I watched his face, really looked at it, trying to see past the mask to whoever was underneath. The man I'd married, or the stranger who'd planned my death. What kind of question is that? He laughed, but it sounded forced. Of course I love you. Why would you even ask? I don't know. I needed to hear it. Laura, you're acting strange. Are you feeling okay? Maybe you're sicker than you thought. Just take the medicine and... The front door burst open. Everything happened so fast. Detective Coleman came through first, his gun drawn, shouting, "Police! Don't move!" 3 uniformed officers flooded in behind him, surrounding Owen before he could even stand up. Owen's face transformed in an instant. The concerned husband vanished, replaced by something cold and cornered. He looked at me, at the wire now visible at my collar, and understanding flooded his features. You knew, he said flatly. I stood up, stepping back from him, still holding the water glass. The pills he'd given me were still in his hand. Yes, I knew. Hands where I can see them, Coleman ordered. An officer moved forward with handcuffs, Owen's hands clenched into fists, the pills crumbling between his fingers. This is insane. I was just giving my wife her medication. There's no crime in that. Actually, there is. Coleman took the crushed pills from Owen's hand using tweezers, depositing them carefully into an evidence bag. These aren't standard medication, Mr. Bennett. We've already tested the pills in your house. We know what they are and what they do when combined. I don't know what you're talking about. Those are just vitamins. We also found your burner phone. Read all your messages with Brandon Wells. Very detailed planning you two did. The insurance policy, the surveillance, the timeline. You documented everything. Owen's face went pale. I want a lawyer. Smart choice. Coleman nodded to the officers, who pulled Owen to his feet and cuffed his hands behind his back. Owen Bennett, you're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, and forgery. You have the right to remain silent. As Coleman read him his rights, Owen stared at me. Not with love or regret, but with pure calculation. Even now, he was probably thinking about how to spin this, how to manipulate his way out. You'll never prove I was actually going to hurt you, he said as they led him toward the door. It's all circumstantial. My lawyer will tear this apart. Actually, we don't need to prove intent anymore, Coleman said. You just handed your wife pills containing a lethal combination of drugs while being recorded on video and audio. That's attempted murder, and we have you dead to rights. Owen's expression finally cracked. Rage and fear flashed across his face as the reality of his situation hit him. They walked him out to the waiting police car, and I watched through the window as they put him in the back seat. My legs gave out. I sat down hard on the couch, the water glass slipping from my fingers and spilling across the carpet. Jessica appeared at my side. I hadn't even noticed her arrive. She wrapped a blanket around my shoulders. It's over. You're safe now. But I couldn't stop shaking. The man I'd shared a bed with, shared my life with, had just tried to murder me right in front of me. If Jessica hadn't overheard that conversation, if I hadn't found the phone, if Detective Coleman hadn't been there. We picked up Brandon Wells an hour ago, Coleman said, sitting down across from me. Once he saw we had Owen in custody, he started talking. Told us everything. Your husband owed $200,000 to some very dangerous people from illegal gambling. He was desperate. Brandon says Owen approached him about the plan 6 months ago, right after he increased your insurance policy. Did he ever love me? The question came out small and broken. Was any of it real? Coleman's expression was kind but honest. I don't know, Laura. Some people are capable of genuine feeling even when they do terrible things. Others are just very good at pretending. Either way, what he tried to do to you was unforgivable. Over the next few days, the full scope of Owen's plan unravelled. Brandon confessed to tampering with my medication using drugs obtained from a corrupt pharmacist. They found the third man from the parking lot footage, a doctor with gambling debts of his own who'd agreed to sign off on my death certificate without asking questions. But the worst discovery came when Detective Coleman called me a week later. We reopened a case from 8 years ago, he said. Owen was married before you. His first wife died of what was ruled as an accidental overdose. But looking at it now, with what we know about his methods... My stomach dropped. He killed her too? We're investigating. The insurance payout on her death was smaller, only $100,000, but it matches his pattern. If we can prove it, he'll face murder charges in addition to what he's already being charged with for your case. Owen's trial happened faster than I expected. Brandon testified against him in exchange for a reduced sentence. The evidence was overwhelming. The burner phone records, the tampered medications, the recorded conversation where Owen handed me the lethal pills, the insurance documents with forged signatures. I had to testify. Had to sit in that courtroom and look at Owen while I described every detail of his betrayal. He watched me with empty eyes, showing nothing. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours, guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 25 years to life. The corrupt doctor got 15 years. Brandon, who'd cooperated fully, received 5 years with possibility of parole. Jessica came to the sentencing. We'd become friends through this nightmare, bonded by the night that changed everything. Afterward, we went for coffee, not talking about Owen or trials or murder plots, just normal things. It felt good. Slowly, I started rebuilding. Therapy helped me process the betrayal, the trauma, the violation of trust. I went back to teaching, finding comfort in routine and in my students' uncomplicated honesty. 6 months after the trial, I started a support group for people who'd survived domestic betrayal and violence. The first meeting, 5 women showed up. By the end of the year, we had over 20 regular attendees. Now, standing in front of a room full of survivors, I share my story not as a victim, but as someone who found her strength in the darkest moment. Trust your instincts, I tell them. If something feels wrong, investigate. Ask questions. Protect yourself. You deserve safety. You deserve truth. And you deserve justice. The woman I was before that hospital call is gone. But the woman I've become is stronger, wiser, and determined to help others find their way out of the darkness. Owen took a lot from me, but he didn't take everything. And I'm still here, still fighting, still surviving. That's my victory.